Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And that right there is Councilman of the 6th District, Anthony Moranti, with the Majority Leader, Councilwoman Tasha Diaz of the 3rd District. Good evening, folks. Happy Monday.
Ready wins.
Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. It's Monday. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. What's going on this week in politics? Good evening, folks. Happy Monday, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Today, I want to go over a few things, that I noticed. I also want to talk about who will be the next superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools and who will be the next assemblyman that will replace Nader Sayegh. I'll get into that in a bit. But today, earlier, this afternoon, I saw Tasha Diaz at Chicken Island. She was over at the food distribution that they have there with her little puppy, and she was also with the police. I don't know if if she feels the need to have police present. She feels maybe it's a safety thing. I don't know, but she had police there with her. However, the reason why I'm even discussing it is because I was under the impression that Tasha Diaz or any other elected official was no longer allowed at these food drives, right? But she was there today, so I just thought that I'd mention it, right? You're supposed to not be there, according to Westchester or Feeding Westchester. Right? And we know that these food drives have been politicized. They've been used, in my opinion, as a way to secure petition signatures, to get votes even, to get ballots, absentee ballots filled out. But that's just my opinion. But others have also mentioned this as well. Volunteers have also complained to me about the food and the best of the best food that comes in being taken by certain individuals, put into their cars quickly, right? So I've talked about that. So they don't like me. But we did mention a lot of the politicizing of these food drives. The Yonkers Ledger also did an article on this or report on this. And Westchester, Feeding Westchester, said that they would speak to the elected officials, reach out to them, let them know, try to not be there. You're not supposed to be there, right? It's not political. This is about helping those who have food insecurities. But she was there today. You saw Tasha at Buttered Chicken Island. Yeah, that's right. She's greedy and she wants some of that buttered chicken. And also today on the Yonkers Voice, my guy, there you go. There goes Tasha Diaz and Anthony Moranti. I thought was this a recent picture? I'm surprised to see the two of them like this. I don't know if it's a recent picture. But today, someone sent me this video. So most of us don't have to look at getting a free car that's paid for by taxpayers. Your gas is free. Wherever you want to go. Your insurance is free. And if you get into an accident, no big deal, right? Ask some of the council members. They've been in multiple accidents in the city vehicle. And so this has been a problem, the abuse of city vehicles. That was something actually that Mayor Mike Spano spoke about when he was first running for mayor of the city of Yonkers. And in fact, when he won, he took a lot of the cars away from people. He took all of them away, right? And then little by little, they were given back out to certain people. However, they are not supposed to be used for personal reasons. They're not supposed to be taken outside of the city limit, right? Unless it's city official, city business for whatever reason. And they're not supposed to be just driven at all times of the night as well, right? It's supposed to be for official business. And technically, it should be the only official city officials, like the building department commissioner, fire chiefs, and people like that, first responders who may need to, in the middle of the night or whatever time, come to an emergency, should be taking home a city vehicle. It shouldn't be for everyone, right? I mean, the council members, we think only make their council salaries, but we are finding out that they make more money in other areas. So they're making enough. We know Shanae Williams is making over 100,000 a year, right? And that's just what we've been able to locate. So you can pay for your own car, right? I believe that the car should be left at City Hall, and they come there in their own vehicle or however they want to get there, pick up their car if they have to go do city official business or council member business, and then bring it right back. And it should be signed out. The mileage should be marked. And they should get reimbursed for the gas, right? If they have to use gas, they pay for it, they keep a receipt, and then they get reimbursed. But it should always be brought back to City Hall. I mean, this is costing taxpayers how much money now? And they don't drive, Humpties, right? They don't drive these old cars. They drive new Toyota RAV4s, Ford Explorers, Toyota, or other, I don't even know other vehicles they drive, but they always look fairly new to me. And so, this is an issue. This is something that, the taxpayers should be, concerned with. It costs us money, and they've been in multiple accidents. And how much does that cost the taxpayer? And in fact, Shanae Williams, who criticized Corazon Pineda Isaac when she was in an accident recently, which was not her fault, has been in multiple accidents and was even sued by someone as a result of one of her accidents. She got herself and the city sued because she was in a city vehicle, right? So we have to keep a watch on that. So thank you for the person that sent me that. Appreciate the information, guys. This is how we keep them honest. This is how we keep them hold them accountable, and we keep an eye on them. We let them know we're watching. Everyone's watching. You don't have to be the one to present the information. You can always remain anonymous. Just send me the videos, the audio, whatever else that you may have to politicwithfred@gmail.com. politicwithfred@gmail.com. And again, you can always remain anonymous. I appreciate that. And speaking of audio, I'm still waiting for my main man, Hector Santiago, to let me hear that audio. Share that audio with Tasha Diaz cursing everybody out already, man. What are you waiting for? Why didn't you play it during the elections? Right? It's an audio there with Tasha Diaz cursing out people in City Hall, her colleagues. But it's nothing new, right? People have said this. We've heard it before. And there's an audio there. And I would love to play it on Basement Politics. So if I can get that audio, that would be excellent, Hector. I would greatly appreciate that, man. You know what I mean? Slide that over. Slide that over, man. I guess you guys made up, huh? Did you guys make up over there? Nader Sayegh, in my belief, before I get into this, I want to talk about who will be the next assemblyman, who will take over Nader Sayegh's seat when Nader Sayegh, in my opinion, becomes the next superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools. I have a strong suspicion, and other people share this as well, that Nader Sayegh will become the new superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools come January of 2024. So who will take over the assembly seat when that happens? I'm hearing from my sources out there that it's possibly could be either Frank Jarris, the son of Zahi Jarris, Tasha Diaz's campaign manager, the one she was trying to award the no-bid contract to, but got caught up, so they had to pull it off, right, the agenda. Or Tom Meyer Jr., the son of commissioner of DPW and chair of the Yonkers Democratic Committee, Tom Meyer Sr. I hear that both of them would like to take over Nader Sayegh's seat as assemblyman, and they're both kind of gonna, see who can, who's gonna do better, which one of the two. If Nader Sayegh becomes the superintendent, which I believe he will, of the Yonkers Public Schools. Nader Sayegh is up there in age. I believe he's in his 70s now, right? So I don't know if we need someone in their 70s as the superintendent of Yonkers Public Schools. No disrespect to Nader. Great, he has some experience, but he's been mostly a politician for a very long time, doing some attorney work stuff, not really in the schools. We need new blood. We need fresh ideas. We need someone, a bit more energetic, and I don't want to be, an ageist, right? But someone younger, someone, that can bring a different perspective and maybe search outside of the city of Yonkers for that, right? So that's what I would like to see if they're going to replace the current superintendent, who's the interim superintendent. So it's not a permanent thing. Dr. Rodriguez, who I have no issues with. Dr. Rodriguez, I don't know much about you, and I don't have any issues with you if that's what you've been told, right? And also, I hear there's rumors, people saying that my wife failed her test. The test results, I doubt that they even have the test results that quick. It's not a multiple choice thing where they just scan, one of those sheets with the dots. It was writing, a lot of writing involved, and so that has to be really reviewed. But there's rumors going around that she failed. I mean, why am I this talked about, right? Why is my wife so talked about? Me? It's because I do basement politics. That what it is. But I just want to put that out there for the rumor mill. And and then it concerns me now. Like, do they have reach people up in the state who or people who may grade these things that are saying, look, watch out for this person, make sure she doesn't pass, right? Now you got me like on high alert now about that, right? So it is what it is. It's in God's hands, and that's all I can do. That's all we can do. So we'll leave it up to God. But, for those who are hearing this rumor, I doubt that they have the results back, that quickly. So, I mean, it hasn't been that long, right? So please, just wait for it, right? You forgot Mikey Spano Jr. Mikey Spano Jr. possibly, becoming, being one of the candidates that may be, put into that assembly seat, or maybe Mike Spano Jr. will become the next mayor of the city of Yonkers. That's what I believe. At some point, maybe he'll start off as assemblyman, but he's definitely going to get into politics somehow, some way. I mean, I've been seeing him out there. A lot of people have been seeing him out there. He's becoming more visible, very educated. He's very smart, right? I know a lot of people like to say things negatively about the Spanos and, their, intellectual levels or whatever, academic levels that they may have reached. But Mike Spano Jr. is a Harvard guy and, possibly, right? So quite possibly. But Nader Sayegh, I have a strong suspicion will become the next superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools. And I believe that, it could quite possibly Frankie Jarris and Tom Meyer could be wanting to become the next assemblyman to take over his seat there. But we'll see what happens there. But remember, I say things, and we see it 2 months, 3 months later, it comes out to be true. Like that planning board thing with Jim Kavanaugh. I mentioned that a while back. And here you see the Yonkers Ledger article where it talks about Jim Kavanaugh being the acting. I think my have a faulty wire. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I apologize for that. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's going on there at the Yonkers Public Schools and Nader Sayegh. And I want to talk about this zoning thing. Let's talk affordable housing, senior affordable housing. This is what we're seeing mostly, right? We're seeing a lot of senior affordable housing. I know they talk about, a lot of affordable housing has been brought to the city of Yonkers. Out of all the cities in Westchester and even the state of New York, we have the highest supply of affordable housing. And that is true. That is very true. And I know a gentleman went to the city council meeting and he discussed how we had about 40% of the affordable housing in Westchester County located right here in Yonkers. A lot of it, if not most of it, is pretty much on the west side, right? And that's where it continues to be built. But a lot of the affordable housing that they're building are senior affordable housing. So it's not for everyone, it's for seniors, right? They've built several buildings now. So it's still difficult for people to find affordable housing here in Yonkers, and the rent continues to go up. It's becoming more and more difficult. I mean, $3,000-$4,000 for an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment on the west side, right? Zoning change proposed for senior affordable housing on Buena Vista Avenue. Oh, I grew up there. The Yonkers Planning Board recently heard the case for a section along the waterfront to have its zoning changed to accommodate a new senior affordable housing tower How tall is that going to be? The proposed project occupies the presently vacant lots at 221, 223 Buena Vista Avenue. The land lays adjacent to the train tracks between the Ludlow and Yonkers stations on the Metro North Hudson line. The building plans feature mix of 104 apartments in studio and one-bedroom floor plan. So that's another thing. I'm not sure if folks have noticed, but many of the developments that have gone up, even the affordable housing one, have primarily been studio apartments, 1 and 2 bedrooms, very limited 3-bedroom apartments. There's a lot of families in need in Yonkers for affordable housing. I mean, let's just look at the school statistics. Going back to that, 77% are Black and Hispanic in the Yonkers public schools. 75% of the student body is living at or below the poverty line. Students who are part of families. So I would imagine that these students, us families, would need more than just a 2-bedroom apartment. And so why are they building so many of these affordable housing, and even the market rate, the luxury ones, with so few 3 bedrooms? Is making it difficult for families to find an affordable 3-bedroom apartment. Again, so this one here doesn't even have 2 bedrooms. It's just studio and 1-bedroom floor plan. Well, this is for seniors, I guess, so they're not going to have, but it's not just the senior ones. You're seeing this happen in all of the buildings that they're building, very limited 3 bedrooms. So the lots totaling up 0.47 acres initially belonged to the A zoning district before being rezoned to the URMD district in 2010, whatever that means. Maybe someone can tell me. The developer's petition seeks to revert the lots back to the A zoning district to accommodate an 8-story building. 8-story. The proposed building, 75 feet height, falls within the A zoning district limitations. Attorney Albert Pirro of Abrams and Fensterman LLP. Guys are doing a lot of stuff. You see their names a lot in these agendas. Represented the developer advocating for the zoning change, right? Again, so we talk about these zoning changes, what the developers want, the developers get. And I have no doubt that they will approve this. And I mean they, the Yonkers City Council. These guys can be found in their contributions, right? And their list of contributors. Guaranteed. I remember their name. So they're going to get what they ask for of these council members because of these contributions that they make. So for this developer, is a smart decision to hire these guys, which is why you see them often coming before the planning and the zoning board. It's the same guys. It's the same thing with the tenants, landlord-tenant thing, right? And shout out to my girl, Carly. I got to shout you out, Carly. Shout out to you. Thank you for liking my podcast the other day, but you did mention that you will watch from time to time. And Carly is she works for Andy Romano, the lawyer, attorney. His brother, Dan Romano, is a city court judge, right? They named the park after his other brother, Joe, I believe, right? Joe Romano. Andy Romano does very well in the tenant landlord courts, right? Everyone goes to him. I even know some business associates that are gone to him. A lot of people, it's like everyone goes to pretty much to Andy Romano, and he runs that court. I've watched him in action, and he's, he almost pretty much guides the judge what to do. So, these are people that you hire if you want to get certain things done. So this developer knows. And so they're going to make sure that the city council approves these zoning changes for them. And it's just important why I go over that, because that's a problem. Who are they representing? Our city council members, right? They represent those that fund their campaign. Pirro highlighted the historical context of the area. He noted that a 9-story building already exists across the street that once conformed to A zoning district regulations. The planning board raised concerns, necessitating a comprehensive traffic study and clarification on the parking spaces. Pirro assured the planning board that all necessary on-site parking would be provided. The zoning petition for this senior affordable housing development will undergo further examination at the next month's meeting. And one of the issues we've been seeing with parking, right, is that many of these buildings have been putting half the amount of parking spaces as they have units, like the affordable housing development that's going up on the corner of Main Street and Warburton there by McQuestion. Remember, the governor was down here, and Paul Adler and all the big wigs were here, celebrating this right there on the corner. That's not going to be done till 2026. So that got some time. They're putting about 76 units in there, but only 24 parking spaces. So many of the people are going to have to park on the street. It's already a problem with street parking and also with meters. Right. So you come home at 6 o'clock, you park on the street, you're going to have to pay meters up until 8 or 9 o'clock, just to be home. Or you go and pay in one of the garage, like maybe the one Larkin Plaza garage, right? The one that, Shanae sits on the board on and makes that extra $52,000 a year. You can go and park in there so you can make sure Shanae keeps getting money, right? If you can't find the parking on the street, if there no longer any parking available in the building, right? So other developments have done the same thing. Many people have been upset with this because it's going to cause just more problems for parking for people in the area. And they do this a lot with seniors developments because they are, the idea is that seniors, they're not going to drive. They're older, they're elderly, they have, maybe nowhere to go, or they're not going to have a car. So a lot of the senior developments are going up with very minimal parking spaces. And I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't, read a study about that, about seniors and driving. But I do see them often on the road, and I know that because, sometimes I get a little frustrated with them. I'm just kidding, right? Maybe it shouldn't be driving. So that's something that, and they say the planning board raised concerns. Yeah, they raise concerns because they want to make it a little difficult so they can say, hey, you got to pay up. Make sure you're doing what you got to do. All right. Write that check, man. Write that check. Check this out. This man right here, sharp looking brother, nice suit, is looking to become the next Westchester County DA. Does he really want to do that? Does he really want to do that? Right? Mimi Roca has announced that she would not run for re-election. Many people believe it's because she can't do anything. She went in there, on the platform of fighting political corruption and really didn't fight much political corruption. The only case of any political corruption, possible political corruption, was the quid pro quo investigation into Mike Cater, which we didn't hear much about from the Westchester County DA after it was sent over to her by the Yonkers Inspector General, Liam McLaughlin. But other than that, she hasn't done much. And people have complained. People have written to her for many different issues. And nothing has happened. She's even been asked by the comptroller she's even asked Liam, I should say, and the Yonkers Ethics Board to investigate stuff, but she didn't do it. She just passed it along, right? So many people say that she's done with this. She doesn't want to deal with all the political stuff that involves being the Westchester County District Attorney. You really are not capable of doing your job to the fullest, right? You can't do the investigations you would like to, so she's probably out of it, right? In fact, she has participated in it. Yeah, well, that's, you have any evidence of that? I'm not saying that's not true, but I would like to see evidence. That'd be great, right? But listen, she's not running for re-election, Anthony. Maybe someone who becomes, the next DA will be different. They will have the balls to say, I'm going to do my job to the fullest. I don't care, right? I like to say that this guy would do that because he has the look, right? Looks like he could go in there and kick some butt, but what will he really accomplish? Wagstaff joins Westchester DA race. A look at who else is in the field of Democrats for 2024. A civil rights lawyer, wow, with experience in the criminal justice system, but none as a prosecutor, is running for Westchester District Attorney. William Wagstaff III. And if you happen to hear this, Mr. Wagstaff III, please reach out to me, politicwithfred@gmail.com. I would love to have you on the podcast to discuss. Registered a campaign committee with the State Board of Elections last month, and this week will formally announce his candidacy in the next year's election, hoping to become the county's first Black DA. Now, that sounds great, and it did something for me, 5-10 years ago. But as we know now, we shouldn't focus on the race of the individual, right? We saw the first Black city council president, but that was not a good thing for us. No, it was a disappointment, right? So let's just find the best candidate, right? The winner will succeed Mimi Roca, who announced in late October that she would not be running for a second term. Wagstaff joins former Westchester prosecutor Adele Mirza and Sherilyn Pulver Goodman, a longtime public defender who now runs the County Independent Office of Assigned Counsel, as the only announced Democrats, although others are expected to join the race. The three met last week with the executive committee of the Westchester Democratic Party. Of course, among others said to be considering a run is Westchester County Judge Susan Cacase. Democrats enjoy a nearly 3-to-1 edge among registered voters in the county. And that's why you see many of our elected officials changing their parties, right? Republicans becoming Democrats, turncoats, right? They see the numbers are in the Democrats' favor when it comes to votes. So for them, it makes sense. And I believe Ron Matten is going to be changing from a Republican to a Democrat here soon. So I think I did mention that. Look out for that announcement. Wagstaff says he would bring unique experiences to the job, suggesting that few candidates for a county's top law enforcement position, not to mention DAs themselves, have been both a crime victim and a convicted criminal. As an undergraduate at St. John's University, he said he was seriously injured in a stabbing. He declined to discuss detail of the federal case for which he was convicted, saying it was in the past and doesn't define who I am today. Oh, I think it might define who you are. Absolutely. It does concern folks. I mean, you want to be a Westchester County DA, but you were convicted of a federal crime. I mean, I don't know if that makes me comfortable, right? That to me says, okay, maybe he's willing to, do things that are not supposed to be done, right? He's willing to commit a crime while the DA. I mean, he's already committed a crime. That messed it all up for you, man, right? He messed it all up. A review of online court records shows he pleaded guilty in 2004 to a misdemeanor charge of unlawful use of a scamming device to obtain credit card numbers. He was sentenced to 3 years probation that included 6 months home confinement, 100 hours of community service, and more than $15,000 in restitution. And he became an attorney, and he's looking to run for a county DA. Okay. The conviction meant it took longer than usual for him to get his law license after he graduated. But, congratulations to you. I mean, listen, I don't want to knock anybody who wants, I believe in second chances, but it's just that, the position you're looking to obtain, right? It's just like, anything else, man, I'd have been okay. Well, I don't know, folks. We'll see what happens. What do you think about that? Right? A lot of you have complained about the Westchester County DA's office. A lot of people believe that it's, compromised. We're never going to see a real investigation into political corruption, which is, the big thing that people have, complained about and are concerned with when it comes to, the Westchester County DA and what they are doing, right? So maybe change is good. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we'll get something in there that's much different and much better. Owls, shout out to the Owls. I want to shout you out. Do we need another charter school in the city of Yonkers? Who would like to see another charter school? Right? Do we need more? What do you think? Or do we need to work to improve our public school system, right? Many people have been asking about charter schools. People are coming into Yonkers, families that have kids, they ask about the school system. Then they have asked about charter schools. And I know this because I know some of the individuals that work at some of these developments that have been going up, these properties, people coming in, and I like to ask questions. I like to see what's going on there. And one of the things is the education. They ask all the time. It's one of the first things. They have kids. What are the schools like? Are there any charter schools? In fact, one of the individuals that lives there takes their kids over to Harlem to go to a charter school because they don't have any confidence in the educational offerings here in the city of Yonkers, right? And this is not to bash the Yonkers public schools. I'm just telling you what, people are saying, what the people coming into Yonkers from the city are saying, right? And so we have to talk about that, right? Do we need it? Should we or could we use another charter school, or what do we need to do to improve our public school districts? I was over at the school that's being built on McLean, just checking it out. The guys are there working. Hopefully it'll be opened up for the next school year, but there's no parking there. There's not going to be any parking space for the staff. There's no outdoor place for the kids to really go and congregate, before class or after school or whatever, maybe to get some fresh air. There's the church there, St. Denis Church, that's not in use. It's been closed down for a while, but the property owner would not sell. Is that the archdiocese? Although I did see the owner of All County Bus, that company that's on Fernbrook, that will be relocating now that the city has purchased the land and will be building a waterfront park there, going into the church one day. He had the keys and everything. So I was wondering if he owned that building. Did he buy it from the archdiocese? But whoever is the owner would not sell, which I thought was disheartening and sucked, because that could be knocked down. And not that I want to see a church knocked down, but that whole area where the church stands can be used as a parking or some outdoor area at the very least for the students and staff. But the owner will not sell. Well, couldn't they do eminent domain? They've done it before. They did it for the Sawmill daylighting. They knocked down that row of properties there, the stores that were on Main Street, right across from the Veterans Place, right, to do the daylighting of the Sawmill with the little wheel. I forget what that's called. And why not do it for this church and say, hey, we need the space for the kids. We need the space for the staff to be able to park. As it stands now, when it opens up, staff members will have to find a parking space on the street. But I said maybe they'll do like the New York City does, where they'll put up signs telling people they can't park all around the school, right? The whole block around the school, certain times, and allow the staff members to park there with parking passes. I mean, that will be a good idea. It'll make it easy for the staff members. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of tardies, right? Couldn't find a spot. I'm late. Couldn't find a spot. But, that wasn't the best thought out place to build a school with so many options that we've had, property lots that have gone to developers, right? And other things that are not necessarily benefiting the people of Yonkers, if at all. Why build it there? Right? Why didn't they find some other place? Why didn't they get another nice lot where they could have accommodated parking and outdoor area for our kids there? But that's going to be the new school there. They still need another 2 schools in order to accommodate the population size of the school district. As it stands now, they're almost 5,000 over, crowded in the school district. So they really need to open up these new schools that they're talking about. So let's see what happens. Again, shout out to the Owls. Do you believe that we, a new charter school would do Yonkers good? Would you guys like to see that? Would parents like to see a charter school, or what? What would you like to see happen? Mimi should go back to the world of theory and a Harvard classroom. It's tough. Anthony. Listen. It's Yonkers and Westchester County is a tough place to navigate. Yonkers is very tough if you're going to do business here in Yonkers, especially if your business is, somehow going to need the support or, benefits from the support of the city. For example, like my daycare center, if we can get, a contract for universal pre-K and other daycare centers, or, whatever that business is or nonprofit, right? It's very difficult. You have to make friends, right? So it may look like sometimes people are friends because they are a part of, corruption and stuff, and they're all with it. But sometimes they're just doing that to try to get what they need done, right? And so they're put into this position where it's like, I have to do this, and for me, why I kind of battled it out and I got to this point is because I'm not a, for good or bad, whatever, I'm not the type of person that just can fake it, right? Like, it's hard for me to fake liking people. It just is like, I can't fake a conversation. It's hard for me not to just, if I don't like you, I'm just not going to be around you. I'm not going to be mean to you. I'm not going to say anything negative to you, but I just don't want to be around you. Right. Or if I don't have anything to do with you, or, so I can't do that. It's hard for me to, hey, how you doing? Or go to events and just be smiling. Hey, how you doing? Hey, and shooting the breeze with people. And I'd rather be home with my kids, or I'd rather be doing something else. Right. So, but you have to do these things a lot of times. And even for employment, like for city employment. And I've had people talk to me about this, people that just did not get past the, the seasonal position, right? There have been people that were seasonal for years. They say, oh, you do 6 months seasonal and then you get full time. There's people that have been seasonal for years, right? Years at parks, a DPW or something, never getting to that permanent full-time position because they're just not going to events. They're just not doing these things that, you gotta like look at Allah neighbor, not to pick on you, Allah, not to pick on you, but the guy's a Republican, right? He's a member of the Republican Party, and he's not just a Republican, by party affiliation, right? When he votes, he's a member of the party. He's the sergeant at arms, right? He has a position within the party, but he's at the Castle Royale the night of the elections, setting up for the Democrats, helping them put their party stuff up, right? It just doesn't make sense. But he's a city employee, so if he wants to do that, right, that gets him to, get another position, get a pay raise or whatever. It benefits him. And so a lot of people are just not like that. They just want to go to work. I just want to have my job, clock in, do what I got to do, and leave. I don't want to have to go and mingle in these parties just so I can get a full-time job, but just so I could become a supervisor, right? Otherwise, you'll never move ahead. Doesn't matter if you took the test. Doesn't matter if you passed the civil service exam. If you're not, getting along, with the crew, then you're not going to probably get that job, right? So people have to do this. And in politics, it's the same thing. You want to get ahead in politics. You want to be a successful candidate. Then you got to mingle with the right people. And that's what, I believe that Mimi Roca was doing. And, maybe just not what she really wanted to do, right? So she said, forget it, right? So I don't want to be so, hard on Mimi Roca. I do know that, she was mingling with a lot of the elected officials here in Yonkers. I saw her, at different little events that they would do. And I also knew that Hector Santiago was working on her campaign. He showed me her office, her little campaign headquarters here in Yonkers, which was in an AMS building, right? It was on 66 Main Street, I believe, that, whatever that number is. So, I knew it was the whole ties there too, so that's just how it is though. That's just how it is. Where are you going to find someone that's independent, right? That's truly independent, that's actually elected, right? Or that gets one of these positions, right? So it becomes a commissioner in Yonkers, or, that's truly independent, that can speak his mind. Where do we see that at? We don't see any of these elected officials like that. Not one. Not one is, look, Anthony Moranti, and not to pick on Moranti. I'm going to go back to the picture. Not to pick on you, Moranti, at all. Shout out to the Mexican American community. Mayor Spano at a church, they're handing out food. Untermeyer Park, I used to go there as a kid, and it looked that beautiful. But I want to, Anthony Moranti, right? He's the city council member for the 6th district. He's a council member, right? I have this idea that as a council member, you have some kind of, influence, right? You have a voice. You can make an impact, or you can draw attention to something, right? And really get some movement on it. So when the aide that was, fired after the election, the legislative aide, I was hoping that maybe Moranti would speak up on that, or somebody else, people would speak out on that, especially Moranti, but he didn't say anything about it. And again, there's nothing against Moranti. Moranti, I'm not, attacking you, right? My goal is not to attack people anymore, even if they attack me, right? So it's not to be negative, but it's just to question, why not? I would have said something. That's what I'm saying. That's who I am. I couldn't have stayed shut. It's no way that I would have been okay with that. You would have known that I was upset about it, and I would have been finding some way to bring her back. I would have been letting people know. I would have been saying, that's not okay. You definitely fired her for retaliatory reasons because she supported Moranti. And so she was targeted after working for 20-some years for the city of Yonkers. And nothing, no one spoke out, right? It was quite, so I don't, that, and people say, well, Moranti still has to work with them. He doesn't want, but what do you mean? Of course he has to work with them, but it's still not okay. You got to say something about it. If and they say, well, if he needs something for his constituents, let's say, right? If a constituent calls Anthony Moranti about, let's say, a pothole or something that the city has to take care of, and he goes to the department or whatever, hey, building department or DPW, hey, we need to take care of this over here in the 6th district, he may not get it done, right? They won't move. They won't do it for him, and it'll make him look like he's not doing anything for his constituents. So in order to avoid things like that and be able to get potholes fixed for his constituents, or a gutter unclogged, that whatever, or a tree that's about to fall, whatever, taken care of, he has to stay quiet about this. That's the crazy to me. That doesn't make sense, and that's not cool, right? And I don't, and I'm just not. That's not who I am. That I would be. Yo, no, that's not okay. How are you going to fire her? And from what I'm hearing, it was Mike Breen, because again, if you don't understand, the majority leader and the minority leader get to hire and fire the legislative aides. So Mike Breen put the letter in to fire her, right? She's saying she was terminated. People say that it was drafted by Steve Trevert, but it was from Mike Breen, the minority leader. And that was just kind of revenge for, Ron Mattin, a guy named Joe Dolly, and, Anthony Moranti, and, to all those Republicans, even though Mike Breen's a Republican. But is he really, right? Is he really? And so I would have been saying something. I don't think that was okay. And I would think as a councilman that you have a voice to get that investigated, right? Or something, do something like, yo, this is not okay. Look at all this is going on. And I'm a councilman. So if I'm saying it, then there needs to be an investigation. What about the investigation into Tasha Diaz? As a council member, I would be saying, hold up, wait a minute. She's trying to award no bid contracts to her campaign manager. We already know what they about. We know the history there. It's no secret. This is not okay. Liam, this needs to be investigated. This is not political silly season, Liam. This is a councilwoman, the majority leader, attempting to award her campaign manager a no bid contract. He's also a part-time city employee. How did that even get on the agenda? That's what I would be saying. And I wouldn't stop till we see some movement on it, because that's not okay. It's obvious. And it blows my mind that nothing is being done about it. It blows my mind that they would spend $700,000, $800,000 on this investigation into Mike Cater, where nothing has been produced in 2 years, while ignoring what Tasha Diaz was attempting to do. And then she was trying to do it again with bulletproof glass as the chair of the education committee. So why isn't that being investigated? And where are the people speaking out about this? People who are elected to represent the people and protect the people from this. Right? Anthony Moranti, Corazon Pineda Isaac. I could understand why Lakeisha's not going to say nothing. I can also understand why she would abstain from voting, right, on that appointment of that guy, because she knows. But I can understand why Lakeisha would not say nothing. I can understand why Shanae would not say anything, or John Rubel, Mike Breen. But what about Anthony Moranti? What about Corazon? And I would expect more from Anthony Moranti, however. But that's why I don't understand this. This boggles my mind. It blows my mind that no one is saying anything about this, and that it's just political silly season. Okay, move on. No, we need council members that are going to say, no, this is not okay, and we need to get an investigation. I'm going to be calling whoever I need to call to make sure that we get this investigated. We're not going to let this go. We're not just going to ignore it. We're not going to let it be swept under the rug. No way. We're not doing that. And that's what I'm doing for the people that I represent, and for all the people of Yonkers. It's taxpayer money. Are these people just stealing our taxpayer money? Is that what they're doing? Is that the only reason why they want to remain in office? Because that's what it seems like they're doing. Right? So it's all about the money. And that's why they're never going to represent us to the fullest, if they represent us at all. And that is why when we go up there and we say something, it looks like they don't care, that they completely ignore us, right? Like we don't even exist. People have said this. They're going to do whatever they want to do anyway. It's pointless. You can say whatever you want. They may not even be looking at you. They might roll their eyes. They might be in their phones. Doesn't matter, because they have their marching orders already. And that has nothing to do with what the people want and need. So that's important to understand. What is it that is making them just be so oblivious to what the people want, to ignore what the people want? to blatantly go against what the people want. What is motivating them to do that? And that is the financial incentives that they have and the people behind them telling them what to do, their handlers, as I call them, right? So we have to understand that, right? And so we need to start to, support people who are going to stand up and say, that's not okay, know what they're talking about, be smart enough to see this, and be able to articulate it in a way that people will understand it, all people, because you have to have everyone involved in this. And this is no disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying you have to put it in a way that everyone can understand it and be effective and be determined, not give up, not just let it be swept under the rug, not be concerned with if I do this and I go against the rest of the council members, that when I ask the DPW commissioner or the building department commissioner to take care of a problem that constituents are having in my district or anywhere in Yonkers, that it's not going to get done because I spoke out. I'll go to the commissioner's office. What's going on here? This is a problem and it needs to get done. And I've asked this of you for a while now, right? We are the bosses, the council members. And so need to act like it. They need to represent the people. Represent the people. And so we need people like that. And I hope that we see this in the next elections. I'll be honest, and I'm not just saying this. I'm truly going to be working for the next 2 years to make a serious run for city council president. And I put it out there now because we have to begin supporting the right candidates now. This is a machine that any candidate will be going up against. And they need all the support they can get, and they have to start working on this now. People have to understand who, or have to get familiar with the people that are going to be out there running, the people that are, the ones they need to vote for, right? Someone who's not going to be afraid to oppose whatever it is that the administration, and not in a way that's about, combating or, just being against the administration. No, but if, this is not right for the people, then someone has to be able to stand up and say that. And even if it gets approved, right? Because, you will, one person, you get outnumbered, but you have to communicate why it's wrong. And many times we see them voting on things. They don't explain what they're voting on. They don't explain the impact that it's going to have on people, what it's about. It's just adopted 7-0. Boom, adopted 7. You know what I mean? So what are you adopting? And what does this mean exactly? And how does it impact the people? Does it affect people? Right? And who does it affect? So we don't even know what's being passed. We don't know. Until then it starts affecting us. You're like, what the heck just happened here? Oh, that was passed months ago. You didn't know? No. So we need someone that's going to explain it to the people, make sure that they understand why, and make sure they understand why the other council members are wrong for approving it or passing it. And that their constituents in their districts should make sure that they not reelect them the next time around, because they obviously don't represent the people. But no one's doing that. No one's explaining it to the people. People don't see that, right? And so they create these, this perception with social media and everything of these turkey giveaways and food drives, and again, bounce houses and all these good things that don't really, do much for the people. Right? It's a short thing, right? Temporary fix. Have fun for that one day. You have a turkey for Thanksgiving. But how are you helping people get out of poverty? How are we changing the rate of poverty here in Yonkers, especially among Latinos and Blacks who have been largely impoverished for my entire life here in Yonkers? And I want to see that change. And I see that we've seen some more Latino businesses opening up. That's great. That's great, right? It's great. But a lot of them are coming from outside of Yonkers. And they're opening up their second and third business. They have businesses in the city already, right? And so I want to see the people in Yonkers prosper as well. It's very important for me. It's very important that we focus on the education of our kids. I see them doing things. I see people doing, things that I've mentioned here in my podcast. And you know what? I don't care that you're doing it. Great. I just hope that you're doing it for the right reasons and that you are fully committed to it and that you're passionate to see it really succeed. Right? Some, people are asking, I'm gonna just put it out there. It's interesting. My wife got a text message the other day, and I'm just like, "How you just text my wife this question, which is almost, I wonder, and maybe I overthink things. Was it, kind of like a little jab in a way? And they asked her about something, and I don't want to say too much, but you don't ask how my wife's doing. You don't, say, hey, how's everything? Sorry what you're going through. Hope you're okay. How you been? Whatever. About just out of nowhere, never, have a communion forever. Just to this question about something that, because something that my wife was doing that they shut down, and now what, they're gonna redo it or whatever. Now you want to know about, what I'm saying? But don't ask see how my wife is doing. Not like that. This is crazy. This place is very vicious, and just that's how it is. But we, the people, those who have souls, who have kind hearts, we have to be a bit more aggressive. We have to be firm, and we have to be vocal. And most importantly, we have to be unafraid. It is fear that debilitates us and that perpetuate what it is that we are seeking to change. We can't not be afraid. We can no longer be afraid. We have to be vocal. You've seen what I've gone through, and I'm still continue to be vocal. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. When it's all said and done, I can say I did the right thing. And that's what matters most to me. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, folks. I appreciate you for supporting. Thank you. Have a blessed week. Let's see. I'll be on maybe tomorrow Wednesday, I should say, to dissect the Yonkers City Council meeting.
Let's get it poppin'. Let's get it poppin'.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
That's right, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Be well, be blessed. I'll see you around soon. Promise you that.